All right, so y'all go ahead and do the factoring and the math knowledge question for today. Once y'all are finished, y'all can unpause the video and I'll go over the correct answers. So for the factoring, you should have x minus 18 times x plus 2. For the math knowledge question, we're going to have points A, B, and C, and it says that we have points A, B, and D are collinear. And so ABC is our triangle, and it says it's equilateral. So that means that each of these are 60 degrees. And it wants to know what is the measure of CBD. Well, it's going to have to be 120 degrees. So that would be your answer for your math knowledge question. So we're looking at lesson 40 today. We're going to be finding perimeters and areas of composite figures. So you'll hopefully be familiar with finding perimeters and areas of composite figures from middle school. If not, this isn't a terribly difficult concept. You just have to find perimeter and the area of the figures separately and combine them basically. So a composite figure is a plane figure, so a flat figure made up of simple shapes, or a three-dimensional figure made up of three-dimensional figures. So an ice cream cone would be an example of a three-dimensional composite figure because it would be a circular cone and a hemisphere on top of it. A house would be a composite figure because it could be a rectangle or a square with a triangle on top. But you've dealt with composite figures more than likely before. So we want to find the perimeter of this figure, and it wants us to use 3.14 for pi. So the perimeter is going to be the part that you would surround the figure with. So that's going to be here, not this side length here because that's on the inside. So our perimeter is going to be the 5 plus the 12 plus this part. And this is a semicircle. So we're going to do 1/2 of the circumference. And the circumference is going to be pi times your diameter, which is 13. So it says use 3.14 for pi. So if you plug that in, you should get 37.41 inches for your perimeter. And that's all you have to do to find the perimeter for a composite figure. Just add up all of the outside pieces. For postulate 19, the area congruence postulate. If you have two polygons that are congruent, that means that they have the same area. And then postulate 20, the area of a region is equal to the sum of the areas of the non-overlapping parts. So in this diagram over here, area of this piece plus the area of this piece plus the area of this piece would equal the whole thing. And so that's going to be the best way to find the area for your composite figures, is to just break it down into pieces that you can find the area of and add them all together. So we want to find the area of this composite figure. So I'm going to start off with the semicircle here. The area for a semicircle is going to be pi r squared. So it tells you that the diameter is 20. So that means that the radius is going to be 10. And then you're going to divide it by 2 because it's a semicircle. Then we're going to find the area of the triangle, which is going to be here. So 1/2, the base length here is 20 and the height is 30. So 1/2 20 times 30. And then if you multiply, you're going to get 157 plus 300. And if you add those together, you're going to get 457 feet squared. So that would be your answer. Okay, so now we're going to look at this one. We want to find the area of the white region that's on the inside of the rectangle. So the part that they're talking about is this part here, and this part, and this part, and this part, and this part. So basically what you're going to do to find your area of the white part, you're going to do the area of the total minus the area of the blue part, and that'll leave you with what's left. So the area of the total is basically the area of the rectangle. So that would be 36 times 10. And then the area of the blue part, well, there are 3 semicircles. So we're going to take the area of a semicircle and then multiply it by 3 because they're congruent. So area of semicircles, we're going to do half of pi r squared. And so the part that we have to figure out is the radius. There are 3 of these diameters. And so 36 divided by 3 would make each of the diameters 12, which means that the radius would be a 6. So then you're going to plug that into your calculator. You're going to get 360 minus 169.56. And if you subtract, you should get 190.44 centimeters squared. So that's how that one would work. So if you have to find the area of what's left, you just subtract the pieces that you're taking out. We're going to look at another example. We want to find the perimeter of the shaded regions, and it wants us to include both the inside and outside. So the inside part would be here. And this is a square. And so this is 50, this is 50, this one's 50, and that's 50. So 4 times 50. And then this part's 50, this part is 50, this part is 50, and this part is 50. So another 4 times 50. And then we've got this piece, this piece, this piece, and this piece, which together make up a full circle. So perimeter of your circle is pi times your diameter, or 2 pi times your radius. And they tell us the radius is 30. So if you multiply on your calculator, they don't tell you to use 3.14. They just say find it. And so if you plug in using pi, you should get 588.50 meters. So they didn't tell you to use 3.14, so you don't want to use 3.14. Otherwise, you're going to get 588.4. So it's going to be a little bit off. So you need to make sure that you do it correctly. Then you want to find the area of the planted regions. So for part B, we know that there are 4 of these rectangles here. And so to find the area of those 4, the length would be 50. And then this length here is going to be 30 because that's part of a circle. So 4 times 50 times 30 would take care of those 4. And then we have these pieces at the corner that together make up a circle. And so we're going to do pi times radius squared. So if you use your calculator, you should get 8,827.43 meters squared. So that would be your answer on that one. Okay, so now let's look at some practice problems. Let's see if y'all can find the figure here, find the perimeter, and then we'll, if you're stuck, y'all can unpause the video and we'll go over it. So we have a rectangle and a triangle. So a rectangle has a horizontal side that is 3, 2 vertical sides that are 4.5, and then 2 4-inch sloping sides. So the reason that I know that the triangle goes on the 3 side is because it says it has a 3-inch horizontal side. And then it has 2 that are 4.5. And then 2 4-inch sloping sides. So your perimeter is just going to be 3 plus 2 times 4.5 plus 2 times 4. Which, if you add those up, should give you 20 inches for your perimeter. Okay? Now looking at this next one. We have a figure, and they want you to find the area, and then they have another question about determining the area of a new figure. So y'all try those by yourself, and then we'll go over them. So we wanted to find the area and express it in terms of pi. So this is a square here. So the area of it is going to be 16 because it's 4 times 4, or 4 squared. And then 1/2 pi r squared. The diameter is 4, so the radius is 2. So we're going to have 1/2 pi times 4. So half of 4 is 2. So 16 plus 2 pi. And then the units are centimeters squared. So that's how you leave your answer in terms of pi. Keep pi in the final answer. You don't need to use your calculator to figure out what that number is. Okay, so now we have a rectangle that is removed from the bottom left corner. So there's our rectangle that's taken out. And we want to determine the area of the new figure. Well, basically, you're just going to subtract this area. And it's 3 by 1.5, it says. So we started with 16 plus 2 pi, and then we're going to subtract 3 times 1.5. So if you subtract that, you'll end up with 11.5 plus 2 pi, and then centimeters squared. So that would be the area of that bottom one. Okay, we're going to look at these last 2 practice problems. So y'all pause the video and try these by yourself, and then I'll go over them. We want to know the perimeter of the building. So it has a rectangle with a right triangle on top. The rectangle is 420 feet tall. Whoops. And 120 feet wide. And the triangle's base is the 120, and its vertical leg is 160. So we have to find the hypotenuse first using Pythagorean theorem. And so if you use Pythagorean theorem, you should get 200 for the hypotenuse. So your perimeter is just going to be to add up 200 plus 160 plus 420 plus 120 plus 420. Again, this number doesn't get used because it's on the inside. And so if you add those all together, you should get a perimeter of 1,320 feet. Okay, and then it asks how much glass is needed to cover the side of the building. So that's the area. So the area of your rectangle would be 420 times 120, and then the area of the triangle would be 1/2 120 times 160, because that's base times height. So if you multiply that and add it together, you should get 60,000 feet squared. So that would be your answer for that practice problem. Okay. Now we're going to look at our challenge question. We want to try and divide this plus sign so that we can make it into a square. So the best way for y'all to try and do this one is to use graph paper, or at least that's what I found, is to put it on graph paper. And then you don't want to make it teeny tiny. I would make it so that this is a 3 by 3 square here, and then a 3 by 3, 3 by 3, 3 by 3, and 3 by 3. And you want to try and cut it into 4 pieces to make it into a square. So y'all can cut up some graph paper and try that. And I'm going to pause the video. Y'all pause the video, and then once you're finished attempting it, I can go over it for you. So this is how you would want to divide it into 4 pieces. You're going to put 1 point here to here, and you're going to connect those two, and then you're going to connect about halfway here and about halfway here, and it should cross at that vertex right there, and then that'll cut it into 4 pieces. And if you cut them out and then rearrange them, it does make a square. So that's how you can make a square out of a plus sign. Your homework tonight is 1 through 30, so make sure that y'all do those so that we can go over your questions tomorrow.